show you how the club in Washington works. In fact, when I ran for the US Senate in Florida back in the early 2000s, I said, I don't want to be a member of the Senate club. I want to take a club to the US Senate. That applies for all of Washington. And that's why I hope you will pre-order my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, because we need to wage another revolution peacefully and legally, as our great founding father and third American president, Thomas Jefferson, predicted we would have to do. But today, to show you how it works, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, that's the appellate court, is holding a hearing. It's called an en banc hearing, because the judges on that court, which outnumber the left, outnumbers the so-called conservatives, and I say so-called conservatives because they're not really much conservative at all in Washington on the courts, particularly the federal court. They're holding a hearing, an oral argument with regard.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Regard to the decision by a three-judge panel to order Judge Emmett Sullivan to dismiss the indictment and plea of General Michael Flynn. Now, this shows you how it works, and I got to tell you why. Because I have a number of cases before the DC Circuit. I've asked for oral argument. They're for ordinary people, like Laura Loomer, like my clients Jerry Corsi, like others that are there, and they will not provide an oral argument if you're just part of the ordinary folk in this country. But yet, for an insider like General Flynn, where they want to do a number on him, mark my words, they're going to reverse the decision of the panel because the Democrats, the left on that court, outnumber the Republican so-called conservatives by 7-5. It's a done deal. Okay, they're going to reverse it. Okay, 100%. But it shows you that if you're part of this inner club, it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, conservative, liberal, or whatever, you're part of that Washington club. You'll get special treatment. You'll get the oral argument. You'll get the chance to make your case. But if you're an ordinary person, forget it. They're not going to be bothered, particularly during the COVID-19 scandal. And it is a scandal because actually it originated in Fort Detrick when Fauci sent the seeds of it over to communist China, the Wuhan lab, with money, a grant during the Obama administration. But it's also a pandemic, and it severely harmed our health, our economy, and our well-being. And I have a lawsuit on that, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it shows you the way it works. And that's what my book's about. It takes a revolution, forget the scandal industry. Turn off Fox News, turn off MSNBC, turn off CNN, get to work, join Freedom Watch's Justice League, because it is primarily the federal judges in this country who have contributed to destroy this country, notwithstanding the communist Chinese and COVID-19, because they're supposed to stand there for us. They're supposed to give us equal treatment to their elite brothers and sisters in Washington, D.C., but they don't. And Jefferson said, because they're unelected, they think they're there for life. Read my book, they're not really there for life. And because they claim that they have immunity from anything they do, liability, they have become despots, as Jefferson has predicted. Runaway despots that do as they please, scratching the backs of the special interests who got them their jobs. And that's why I say in my book, figuratively speaking, once the revolution breaks out, the first to the guillotines should be the federal judges. And I give solutions on how we can wage a peaceful and legal revolution without violence. So you have to read it. It's going to be a lot different than what you're going to get out of Sean Hannity, which is fluff, which is being the cheerleader for Donald Trump. Yesterday, Glenn Beck, who was on Tucker Carlson on Fox News, actually took a shot at Hannity. He told Tucker, he says, you're the only one on mainstream media who tells the truth to the American people. And Tucker uses many of the themes that I come up with, even though I've had issues with Tucker. He gets it because I send him the emails, and at least he's getting it out. But this tells you a lot about Washington. For General Flynn, an insider, and I sympathize with his plight, but he is an insider, he is an elite, he gets special treatment, and the rest of you can be damned. And that's the way it is. Now let's talk about what's happening in our cities still. Continued violence in Chicago and Portland, Seattle, Philadelphia, District of Columbia, where people have been shot, New York City, you name it, is that the president, as I've said, needs to step up to the plate. He can nationalize the police. He can have them enforce the rule of law. He needs to do so now. If he does not do so, he will probably not win the next election because he's going to lose a lot of his supporters, a lot of his base, who can't figure out why this is going on for months. And the federal government does not step in when we have these leftists, socialist, communist mayors and governors who are hell-bent to destroy this country and refashion it as a Soviet-style gulag, and of course, to destroy President Trump himself. So he's getting bad advice from his advisors. Hopefully he'll snap out of it, and you, the American people, need to tell him to snap out of it. He needs to be different than Joe Biden. Joe Biden, either today or tomorrow or sometime this week, has been blackmailed literally to appoint an African-American vice president, female African-American. The radical Black community has told him that unless he does so, that they will make sure that he loses the next election. Well, you know what? Maybe he can go a step further. He has hit at least 3 chords of the ultra left, because we believe, and most people believe, that the person that's going to be nominated is Susan Rice, the former national security advisor who unmasked communications illegally of General Flynn, of others, of the president, probably yours truly as well, overseas communications. And she just happens to be a female. She happens to be at least half Black, like Obama. And she also happens to be a lesbian. Okay, so they've touched 3 bases, but maybe Biden could go a step further. Maybe he could appoint a Jewish Black female transgender. Maybe he could even get more votes doing that. You see the absurdity of this whole thing? And I don't mean that in any disrespect to anybody. I mean it in disrespect to Biden, because he's being blackmailed, literally being blackmailed by these radical Black leaders. And what we're not going to get is the best and the brightest. If he does win, he will likely die soon. He's not in good health. And we wind up with someone like Susan Rice, who is a pathological liar who lied over Benghazi. Of course, the Republicans did nothing about it other than to hold hearings as usual. But this is what you're going to get, a dishonest individual who, frankly, should be in prison. And we will seek her indictment in front of our citizens' grand juries and try her, convict her, and sentence her, and seek to carry it out peacefully and legally. She committed national security violations by unmasking adversaries of the Obama administration, undoubtedly with the approval of Barack Obama. So this is why Freedom Watch is your Justice Department. This is why you have no Justice Department. You hear Blowhard Bill or Puxatawny Bill, whatever I call him, the Attorney General, with his head down, embarrassed to even say it. Gee, we have socialists, we have communists in the streets. But you know what? What are you doing, Attorney General? You haven't done anything, okay? You protected Flynn. He's one of your own. He's the elite, okay? Now, maybe you did a good thing there, but that's it. You did nothing. You've done absolutely nothing. And you're not going to indict Comey, and you're not going to indict McCabe. You're not going to indict Rosenstein. You're not going to indict the lovebird Strzok Page. You're not going to invite Obama and the Bidens. You've said they're off limits because you know what? You're part of that club. And that's what this is about. It's a giant club in Washington. Giant club. Doesn't matter what you are. You're part of the same club. Rake money, acquire power, live high on the hog, and the American people can go to hell. And that's where we are today. And this is one thing the left and the right has in common, is that we don't believe a word the government says. We have no faith in the government. As Ronald Reagan said, the scariest words in the English language are, "Hi, I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help you." And we're far beyond the corruption we saw in government during those years, which President Reagan tried to fight against. So I want you to go out. I want you to pre-order my book because it's no holds barred. None. I don't even scratch my own back. It's not about me. I say that Larry Klayman has barely scratched the surface. I haven't accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, but neither does anybody else or has anybody else. And that's why we need to rise up to save our country, because the radical left right now is out to not just destroy President Trump, but to destroy the vision and creation of our founding fathers and install a communist socialist government. Ayn Rand predicted it in Atlas Shrugged, George Orwell. It has come to pass, and certainly Thomas Jefferson said we would reach this revolutionary point yet again. So God bless you. God bless your family. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, sign up for our Justice League, see if you qualify for our COVID-19 class action, our criminal case in The Hague, our other hard-hitting cases. And you need to do it for yourself. Get up off the couch, put the Coke and the popcorn down, and join Freedom Watch in getting to work before it's too late and our country goes totally down the drain. So stay safe. God bless you. Thank you for listening to me. God is with us if we're with ourselves. And that's my message for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Thank you for listening to me.
O'Reilly.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We should start a podcast. Yeah, we've all said it. But when it comes time to make it a reality, we get stuck. Well, here's some good news. With Spreaker, all you need to start a podcast is a microphone and a good idea. Spreaker handles the recording, management, distribution, and monetization of your podcast, allowing you to focus on making a podcast. Whether you're discussing the latest moves in the tech sector or just your dating life, Spreaker gives you tools to make your podcast a hit and professional insights about who is listening and where. And as your podcast dream grows, Spreaker only becomes more useful, letting you upload and schedule multiple episodes at the same time, push to multiple platforms, and customize RSS feeds. But what about making money? With Spreaker, monetization is as easy as checking a few boxes. So next time someone says to you, we should start a podcast, say yes, and let Spreaker handle the rest. Learn more and get 30% off at Spreaker.com/get started. That's SPREAKER.com/get started.